Greetings, Brian Keeler here. Welcome to my studio. I'm in the mid-stage of a landscape of the Susquehanna River at Owego, New York, and I'm working from a study and from memory and from photographs. And I'm going to step aside here. I'm going to point out this study. This is at a brief stage, though. It's only after a 2-hour plein air painting that I did on location standing along the river. So I'm using that as my to refresh my memory and to recapture my impression. So if you'd step back, when I do these videos, I often show you the latter stages, but this one is at kind of a crucial mid-stage where I'm really developing ideas and doing some of the design work, particularly in the clouds here of this painting. It's almost become a skyscape painting, at least at this stage. And I have a succession of values of the clouds going from light to a mid-tone and slightly darker here with this kind of salmon color. And now I'm doing these layers of clouds that I've often seen, and but in this particular case I'm just kind of inventing it, so it's very creative, but based on observation of what I've actually seen. So it's a very satisfying way of painting, but also what I'm thinking of here is the perspective in the river here. There's a perspective going back to the town here, but the clouds are also kind of augmenting that perspective and supporting it and further establishing this pictorial space that I'm developing here. So I'm going to quickly go up to the actual sky here now. If you come down to my palette here, I'm just going to show you how I'm going to mix this this color here. I'm going to move some things off here, and of course first I'm putting in a good substantial amount of white, but I'm going to make it kind of a blue going toward the purplish, and the other blue would be of course going toward the green, but I'm going to be mixing up a kind of almost periwinkle kind of a blue for the sky here today at this stage right here. So you can see it here. It's kind of a light, and I'm going to put a little black in there too to mitigate it, to tone it down even more, so it's kind of a mauvish color that I'm getting here. So I'm going to go back up to the canvas here now, and that's a little too, I'm going to test it there, it's a little too light and a little too maybe toward the purplish, so I'm going to, it's not quite what I want. I'm going to come back down here to my palette, and I'm going to mix in a little bit of cerulean blue and a little bit of ultramarine blue. I want it darker is the main thing that I want to do. So each time you mix a color, you're thinking if you're going warmer or cooler or darker or lighter. And I want to go darker. That's just about what I want right there. I don't know if you can see the difference, but it's a darker value and a more bluish value. So that's just about perfect for what I want here. I'm going to mitigate it a little bit. I want it a little less blue. And that was a beautiful color, but I want it a little less blue here, because part of my thinking with that is that I want the clouds to be the main actor, and the sky behind is just kind of in a supporting role. So you can step back a little bit now, so you can see the whole. But look up at the canvas here. And I'm going to, I have a very large round brush that I'm using here right now. I could even use a larger one. And while I'm applying that, you can still stay up by the easel here. While I'm applying the paint, I'm also thinking of the directions of the brush stroke and which way they're going. And at this stage, they'll probably be covered up, but the direction of the brush stroke is something one wants to consider It's sort of related to pastel, and oftentimes you'll see pastel artists that are left-handed. All the strokes are going diagonally that way, and right-handers the reverse. But the idea is to have the brush strokes be somehow expressive of the form that you're describing. But when you're doing a sky, you would like them to be somewhat neutral, perhaps. That's why oftentimes when I do skies, I want the brush strokes to go neutral, meaning that a lot of times I'll just do the brush strokes in a vertical way. So also, I'm going to go warmer on this side. The sun was coming from the left side, so eventually I'm going to put some Naples yellow in the sky on the right side, and it gets darker and bluer as we go over this way. This strand of clouds up here, I did a painting with the clouds like that one time, and I've seen it happen after that. So part of the thing is sort of having a catalog in one's mind of clouds that you've seen. And I did a painting with this type of effect where the upper cloud was up there like that, and I liked the looks of it, so I've used it a lot. But there's an adage in painting: you want the you always have to be thinking of value when you're doing whenever you're painting. In other words, the color gets the credit, but it's really the value contrast, meaning the light and dark contrast, that does the heavy lifting. For example, right here, it's the fact that it's a dark background that's bringing out this silhouette of the clouds. And then down here it kind of flips. Oh, I guess it doesn't. It's still a light against the dark, but sometimes the value will switch around. So as I said, over here I want it to be somewhat darker. So when I'm doing these clouds, I'm also thinking of their position, and it's sort of an exercise in abstract design and placement, and the overall intervals is I always say that's the key word, is the spatial relationships between these clouds. Okay, I think that's about all I'm going to do for right now. So I'll probably have another installment, and you'll get to see this painting as it's developed more towards a complete finished painting. So thank you so much for your attention, but also look at my website, which you can see on your screen here now, briankeeler.com, and it will refer you to other full-length videos on landscape, portraiture, and figure painting. Okay, thanks so much.